Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's lesson. Give me a second so I can share my screen. There you go. Today's talk tool is called Persuasion, and that is exactly what it looks like. Persuasion, it's an easy talk tool to explain, but difficult to achieve. It says here that that reason can change minds, whatever. So let's do this quickly. I'm going to start with explanation. What we did last class was explaining something, and explaining something pretty much looks like building something, right? If I want to explain an idea, I bring concepts one by one, as I said. I provide examples, and I little by little build an idea. So persuasion starts with destroying an original idea and then building a new one. It's quite similar. The only difference between explanation and persuasion is that in explanation, you're bringing new information, while in persuasion, your audience is likely to believe something, and you want to change that belief. And to change that belief, you need to destroy the idea they have and then build a new one. Now, I'm going to show you this example in class. You don't see it right now. It's called Barry Schwartz and the Paradox of Choice. I'm not going to show you the whole video because it's too long. It's 20 minutes. There's a section of 5 minutes around here that I'm going to share to you in class. So don't worry about this slide yet. So how do you do it, right? How do you persuade your audience of an idea? This works when you have an idea in your mind that you want to share with your audience that is difficult to accept. It's an idea that people or audiences are unlikely to believe easily. So there's a series of little techniques that we apply in order to persuade our audience with the idea we have. And one of them is this one, the long reach of reason. Well, using logic, okay, that is one way. There's a simple structure for logic, and this is the, let's say this is the paradigm. It says, if X is true, then clearly Y follows because X implies Y. What does this mean? Well, it means like this. Imagine that this is a situation. The situation right now is that many companies, most companies don't invest in innovation, okay? Don't try to invent new things. Why? Well, because innovating costs money. That's it. You need to put money and try to innovate, and therefore you're losing money. So a good way to save money is not spending money in innovating and just do whatever your business does. And that's it. And that is the common situation right now. So let's say that I have a presentation. I want to demonstrate that this is a mistake, and the companies should be they should be using their money to create innovation. So I use logic. I say if X is true, then clearly Y follows. For example, innovation leads to new products. If you innovate and innovate, you're likely to develop new products, and new products leads to more sales. So obviously, innovation helps making more money, not losing money. That's it. That is using logic. And you can apply this in many different ways in your presentation. If you have an idea and you can pretty much follow a simple logic to make your point, then that's perfectly acceptable. And it's actually the most common way of doing it. There's another one. It's called reductio ad absurdum. And that weird name is, of course, Latin, and it's a technique used in persuasion. Now, it kind of seems complicated, but please bear with me. It says, assume A is true, meaning a concept or an idea. Actually, what you want to demonstrate is that E is false, okay? But you want to do this, reductio ad absurdum. So what you do is, you assume A is true, and you do your presentation considering A true. Then, from this assumption, you deduce that B is true. You bring an idea that is connected to A. And then deduce that B is false. You give enough reason or use logic to demonstrate that this is false. And then, of course, that implies that both B and not B, it's a contradiction. So it has to be false. Therefore, A is false. What I'm trying to do is that taking an idea, assuming that it is true, so I can later demonstrate that truly it must be false. I'm going to give you an example. let's say that I think there's a misconception. A lot of people believe that if it's raining and you go outside, you get sick. That's it, right? Because being outside and being wet causes sickness. This is the idea that I believe it's wrong, and I want to prove it's wrong. So this is what I do. I'm going to apply reductio ad absurdum. So I'm going to assume A is true. Getting wet outside causes sickness. And I start my presentation saying, a lot of people believe that getting wet outside causes sickness. So let's assume this is true. Then, well, let's use another thing, another logic idea. Swimming gets you wet, right? So from A, I'm going to B, deducing that B is true. And you don't get sick from swimming, right? When you're swimming, you're wet outside, yet you can just get out of the pool, dry, and then go home, and you won't be sick, right? Therefore, getting wet outside can't cause sickness. That's it. I mean, I'm using a silly example, but this is very often used in presentations. I start from an idea that I think everybody agrees, and then I show how this idea leads to another thing, and then the other thing is very obviously wrong. So I can demonstrate that the original idea was wrong. Okay? This is how reductio ad absurdum works. Okay, however, it will take more than logic. Logic doesn't necessarily changes people's minds. Okay, if I just say something that feels logical, that totally makes sense, that is not going to change. I mean, that is partially going to change the way people think, but most people are not very easily influenced, right? So there are a couple of other things that you should put into your presentation to make it more persuasive. Number one, inject some humor. Believe it or not, this is very closely related to connection. It means if you can make them laugh, then they're more likely to they're more likely to connect with you, to see you as a figure of as a figure of knowledge, and then they're more likely to believe in what you say. Then add anecdotes. Anecdotes are excellent. This connects to another topic, narration, which is narration. If you tell a story that that follows the same logic that you're using, then yes, you're a lot more likely to have them believe in you. Offer vivid examples. Okay, this is very similar to something that you saw with explanation. If you have very good examples, I can demonstrate the logic that you just said, real data, facts, things that really happen, things that your audience can relate with, then yes, this is going to help you more. Recruit third-party validation. That means only because you say it is not enough, especially if you can find experts who support your idea, or if you can find institutions that had a lot of credibility and they sustain just what you said, then they're more likely to believe in you. And then use powerful visuals. Visuals is one of the best ways to persuade people, because a lot of people believe better in what they see than in what they hear. So if you can connect your presentation with fantastic visuals, then yes, you can have a better chance of persuading them. So in 3 sentences, to sum up everything I just said, persuasion is the act of replacing someone's worldview with something better. That's something I want you to remember. It's just changing the idea for another because you want to persuade them to think what you want. Whatever idea you're implanting in your audience head has to be a good idea, has to be something that improves us as a society. If not, then you're not persuading, you're manipulating. At its heart, it's the power of reason, capable of long-term impact. The way you persuade people is through logic, yes, but number 3, reason is best accompanied by intuition pumps, stories, visuals, and other priming devices, meaning you prepare your audience to believe in you, and then you have them believe in you. And that's everything you have to know about persuasion. Remember, the presentation that you have on Wednesday, it's about persuasion. That means you need to find an idea that it is difficult for audiences to believe, and then try to have them believe. So research and try to find good ideas, ideas that you can easily believe in, and then try to share them with your audience following these 3 sentences of persuasion. One thing, one of the recommendations here says use powerful visuals. And until this point, we're not using visuals because I'm going to dedicate a class to visuals. And we're not doing this right now. However, if you want, if you wish, if it is your desire, if you really think that a visual can help make your point, then you can bring it. But it's absolutely not necessary. So it's on you. All right? So that's it. I finished. That means you can go right now to your quiz. See you in class.